Welcome to the Swish CTO Corner. My name's Sean Applegate. I'm our Chief Technology Officer. In the Swish CTO Corner, we speak with a number of the thought leaders in the government, contractor space, OEM industry space, and other folks have amazing things to say about this market that help our public sector clients improve on how they achieve their missions. I'm here with Bill Roberts, the Federal Field CTO with Riverbed. Welcome, Bill.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate you having me today, and I look forward to sharing some of the insights that we've gleaned from our customers with you, and looking forward to a great conversation.
Outstanding. Well, it's been an exciting year so far, to say the least. I know you and I have been around this government industry for a long time, whether it was serving in the military or service members or civilian agencies or government contractors or OEMs in many cases.
Right.
So we've been around, seen a few things. This has definitely been an exciting year, to say the least.
It has been, challenging for our customers especially, right? So a lot of the changes that have gone on with the new administration has introduced some new challenges that we haven't seen before. And so we're having to be innovative in how we help them get over that and do more with less.
Absolutely. Well, let's maybe jump into that a little bit further. On our side at Swish, we do a lot of work both in kind of performance and observability, which has a general continuous improvement thread that pulls through that.
Absolutely.
And how do we do things like great efficiencies or effectiveness or streamline the productivity of workforces that really impacts the whole organization. Riverbed obviously does a lot of things in that area as well with their unified observability platform and some of the more traditional WAN acceleration and application acceleration. When I worked at Riverbed for 9 years, we saw some amazing improvements for customers where we might make things 500% faster or help them solve problems 10 times quicker. And at my heart, I'm a huge Riverbed fan and love giving back to the community through the Wireshark community as well, which has been very beneficial for our government customers, and many engineers love it. But relative to Doge and what you're seeing in your civilian accounts or DoD agency customers or maybe the IC, talk a bit about maybe the specifics and where you're seeing benefits or maybe even challenges.
Yeah, so like you said, we've always been really focused on efficiency gains, right? And previously it was about what can we do with those resources if they're no longer putting out fires all the time, right? And so now, we're shifting that a little bit and realizing that with the reduction in staff that our customers are seeing, with the increase in workload on top of that, things like automation and automated remediations are really important to allow them to continue to provide the same level of service with that staff reduction they've got going on. And then on top of that, as you mentioned, Doge is coming in wanting to understand by the numbers where there are some real efficiency gains that can be had, right? Whether that's in overspending and waste reduction, or whether that is still in that productivity gain space as well, right? So we've definitely seen being able to provide objective metrics around where some of those savings can be, right? Whether that's in hardware or software refreshes or in productivity gains and automating more so that the staff has the ability to focus on those things that actually requires the human brain.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, in a lot of cases when we work with customers, one of the things we try to look for is where are the key constraints at. I'm a big fan of theory of constraint from a continuous improvement perspective. Right. And often there's a single point in whether it's a business transaction or some other piece of work where things get stuck sometimes, or maybe they're a little slow. And I know with the unified observability platform at Riverbed, we've done a great job of looking at users, the network, the devices on either end, whether it's a client or a server, and then the applications on top of that. And relative to some of the customer and employee experience activities in the federal government, those metrics are really important to not just understand user experience or citizen experience, but really laser focus the development teams and your IT help desk and the teams building next gen capabilities, figure out like where are things slow, where are they stuck, how do we make them better, whether that's trouble tickets and solving them quicker or re-engineering or transforming a business process to some degree. So I think it's been really exciting for us, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And whenever you look at where those bottlenecks are, right, the three-legged stool that has always been there is still there, right? You've got people, process, and technology. And very often those bottlenecks are caused by things that are going on in any one of those. I'll give you a perfect example of one that was actually people related. We have, this is actually on the commercial side, not within the federal government, but on an insurance company that was doing a Windows domain migration. And as part of that, they were asking their end users to do a certain number of steps to prepare for that domain migration. and they were failing somewhere, it's not funny, but they were failing somewhere on the 80 to 85% rate on that part of the process. But the flip side of that coin is when they called the help desk, it was a first call resolution. Like they were fixing it within 15 minutes. They were able to walk them through the process, right? So despite all the preparation they had done, all the work they had done to try to enable those end users to do that work, they were still having a lot of trouble with it. So one of the folks that actually works within the Riverbed platform was leveraging our automated runbook capability and said, I think I could actually automate this whole process and take that end user out of the equation entirely. And so they did that. They were actually able to automate that full process from beginning to end. And they are, since running that, it's been almost 4 months now, they're at a 100% success rate with those steps that they were failing at 80 to 85%. So not only are they no longer asking those end users to do that, they're getting better results, and the first level IT staff isn't having to walk them through it anymore.
That's
right?
an amazing
a
result.
win on every front, right? So,
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of reducing toil. One of the skills we often are building in our engineering staff are things like either infrastructure as code or scripting skills. And what we try to reinforce is the ability to kind of solve a problem, through automation where you can, or code. And then let's go push that into some automation script, a run book, a trigger point, an alert, something that allows us to not have to ever do that again.
right.
And really leverage technology for what it's built best for, and ideally give the employees a very good experience, and ideally save our IT staff a lot of headaches down the road.
Yeah, that's the whole end goal from our perspective, is that end user experience, right? And obviously, as part of that, we're going to save IT staff and make productivity gains there, and allow them to be more proactive, right, to build even better experiences for their customers. But really, at the end of the day, it's about, is the warfighter, is that government employee able to do their job better, right? And are they able to enjoy it more and have less frustrations and headaches along the way?
Absolutely. Well, maybe let's dive into a few more use cases.
Sure.
Maybe separate from what we've talked about already, and have a fun conversation along the way.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Yeah. So another really good use case I can think of was actually driven by DOGE efforts. There is a civilian agency, I won't name them by name, but they were having issues with their patching process. They were seeing that it was failing on a regular basis. And when they started to actually look at it with their end user experience monitoring solution, they realized that it was actually related to something very simple: disk space.
Oh, wow.
The disks were just filling up, and so the patches couldn't be downloaded, therefore the patches couldn't be deployed. And they did not have the manpower any longer to go desk side and actually do this hands-on keyboard. And they had already been leveraging our automation for remediations, right? And doing it kind of ad hoc. When someone called in with an issue, they'd schedule it and send it out there. What they realized is that by combining the power of the monitors with that remediation, with the runbook capability, they were actually able to see, when it gets to a certain point, we're going to automatically kick off that disk space cleanup process. Then we'll run another process to see, did we actually clean up enough with that? If not, we'll run a more invasive disk cleanup process. If it still isn't good enough, then let's go open up a ticket, and we will go ahead and pull the largest files from that PC and send it to the technician, so that when they get desk side, they don't have to do a bunch of investigative work. They know right where they need to go. They need the conversation they know that they need to have with the customer about, hey, do you really need this locally, or can we put that up on OneDrive? All those types of things. And in a 3-month period, they have saved, I think it was over 7 terabytes of disk space automatically without having to go through any troubleshooting process at all. And greatly increase their success rate with their patching process at the same time.
Well, and if you have a lean IT help desk, which we're seeing a lot more, I'd say, focus on lean and efficiency in government, or staff reduction in many cases, the ability to do ticket deflection with those automations and save hours of work every day for your staff is enormous. And the ability to maybe triage those things and then use your good old OODA loop to kind of find the next 6 or 10 remediations that save people time are really important. And again, make your employees happy. So for every CIO or help desk director, that's the ultimate goal, right? Are my employees happy? Is the mission maintained? Am I running efficiently? Am I staying within budget? And can we accelerate that momentum over time, obviously?
And that's exactly what the driver there was, right? So it was a staff reduction of consultants that they were leveraging to do that work previously. and that contract got, as we sometimes say, doged, and so they had to find a different way to do it, and automation was the key for them.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly when those challenges pop up, you have to overcome them.
Right.
And sometimes you have to think a little bit differently. 'Cause the same thing, if you use the same thinking that you've always used that got you into the problem, that may not be the right approach to get you out of it in many cases.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, let's see. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on with Riverbed these days relative to new innovations. I've been shocked with how much new investment in technology and capabilities are there. I'm really excited about what's coming. So maybe talk to us a little bit about what's next. What do you see in this space?
It is absolutely a very exciting time. I think I actually posted that on LinkedIn today about some of the innovation that we've done. We have seen more product development releases in the past year than we have seen in the 7 years previous.
Yeah.
And that did come from an influx of capital with our new board and a focus on truly building a platform, right? We have had best in breed individual telemetry gathering and analysis products for decades, right? The ability to go out there and collect the data and do some aggregation and things along those lines. But what we've really built now with this platform is a very strong way to not only bring all the Riverbed data together, but reach out into third-party data sources and start to incorporate that, and then apply AI on top of it, right? To be able to do causal and predictive. We've started doing some generative AI work, and we actually have some agentic AI in beta as well. So it's very, very exciting the way that we are changing the story around data management, for one. There's been a lot of challenges from our customers in the data movement they have to do to bring things into data lakes and data oceans, and it's actually been a big impact to the network, which on the WAN optimization side of our business, we're fine with, because we can go help alleviate some of those concerns, but we didn't want to add to that problem. So the Riverbed data store actually does not require that motion of data across the enterprise. We're keeping it where it's collected or where it's aggregated already, and then becoming basically the index of indexes, so that you can very quickly pull just the data that you need to do whatever that analytics are that you're working on. So changing the story around data management and taking AI analytics that actually work and are fairly simple to do and don't require an entire team of data scientists to actually apply, I think has made a big difference for our customers in their time to insight, their ability to reduce their mean time to detect, which then of course influences the mean time to repair as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the third-party integration.
Yeah.
I looked at some of the other technologies integrated, and a lot of them are partners that Swish has worked with for years as well. So as a partner in the space, I'm extremely excited for our customers' opportunity to take advantage of that data, unlock new value, and do that in a way with some AI ops capabilities that really can stitch what I would call high-fidelity data across a number of pillars. When you think of user, edge device, network, servers, cloud, application transactions, user experience measurement, in a way that I think is unprecedented in industry from what I've seen. And often that gets our teams working better together. When you think of just teamwork and collaboration and moving forward more collectively, and not get away from some of the finger pointing to each other, obviously, that happens sometimes. And in today's, I think, age of government, being a team player, working together, being a CIO or a CTO or a leader of an IT organization, and getting all those teams on the same sheet of paper and rowing together is extremely important.
Yeah, it was a recognition on our part that while our nirvana is that you're using Riverbed across the board for everything that you need, the reality, especially in the federal government, is you have to protect those legacy investments, right? They have made an investment there. They're doing good things with it. Why make them rip and replace just to leverage our products, right? So not only consuming that data, but also sharing it, right? So that third-party import is also an export. And so we've spent a lot of time with what we are referring to as our smart OTel, right? Open telemetry capability that takes that result, those insights from that AI analytics, and then makes it available over OTel into the larger data picture for that enterprise, right? So whatever data tools they're already leveraging, they can start to ingest some of that, like you say, high fidelity, very rich data, right? That doesn't require you to bring the entire data set over to that other data platform, right? So I think both from the consuming and the sharing point, we've made huge strides over the past couple of years.
Yeah, when I think of the robustness of that data, what we call high cardinality of the forensic details to solve problems for help desks or developers or enterprise architecture teams that do capacity planning and things like that. I mean, it's pretty impressive. I can only imagine as they integrate some of those things into their systems and really extract that value, we're going to see amazing things achieved, both with just good research and amazingly good data that's distributed, being able to be consumed more centrally by those teams, as well as building those automations. And I know you guys have worked hard on the automation libraries. There's
Yes.
a lot of automations available out of the box, and most of those automations can be customizable as well, which
Absolutely.
I find extremely useful for our customers.
Yeah, so we're leveraging that in a lot of different ways, not only for some of the direct device remediation work and things along those lines, but for any process automation that you need. As a matter of fact, it was kind of funny. We didn't build this to be an automation solution that would leverage really any inputs and feeds. We really were building it to help us help our customers do that secondary investigative work in an automated fashion, right? But what we ended up with was actually a full automation tool that really can automate any process, whether or not you're leveraging Riverbed data in it or not. So we've actually had a number of customers that have started to leverage that for processes that have nothing to do with Riverbed, kind of legacy Riverbed solutions, which is really exciting for me that we've built a platform that is intuitive enough and powerful enough and open enough that customers are able to do it in really any automation process within it. So yeah, I think that some of the things that our customers are being able to innovate are shedding a light on the technology that we've built that we didn't even recognize,
That's
which
great.
is really exciting.
Well, speaking of building new technology in the futures, you describe for us a little bit about what the difference is maybe between automations and the maybe future agentic workloads that are coming.
Sure. So, when I talk about automation, what I'm really referring to is if you think of almost like a diagram, a flow diagram of a process, any process, taking that process and allowing the system, the platform, to run through the entire thing, right? So whether that's decision trees, whether that's data collection, whether that's then taking action, right? But that is going to be triggered by some event, right? Whether that is a monitor that's going off in one of our telemetry sensors, or there is a manual one or a scheduled trigger, right? There's going to be some trigger there. The major difference between that automation and agentic is agentic will leverage those same process capabilities, but it will make the autonomous decisions on which ones to do based off of the goal that you set for it, right? So in the end user experience world, as an example, we have a metric that we refer to as DXI, Digital Experience Index. It's a conglomerate metric that we have that is a very good indicator of what the actual digital experience is for that person, for that device, for that application, whatever that may be. So in the world of agentic AI, we can actually just give it the task of improve DXI for this particular application by 10%, right? And so then the agent actually then decides, well, how would I do that? Looks at all of the data, it queries the LLM that we've created and says, based off of everything that I see, where are the areas that I could actually go and make an improvement that would actually increase that DXI score, and then leverage those automations that we've already built to go do that. And then evaluate how good did that actually do, right? Did that actually move the needle for me? Should I do that some more? Is there something else that I could add in, right? And allow it to be autonomous and go after that goal without having to have a lot of direction from a human.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting stuff. And like I said, we've got that in beta today. So we've got customers that are playing with that and are once again shedding light on what we've built and ways to leverage it that we never even thought of before. So we're very excited about seeing that be generally available within the next year.
Well, Bill, are there any other topics you want to cover before we wrap things up today?
The only other thing that I would mention is that a lot of this automation and all of that is very exciting, but especially in the world that we're dealing with our federal customers right now, sometimes a return to the basics is really important. And just looking at objective metrics to make decisions can be a huge game changer. Being able to do data-driven decision making is unfortunately sometimes a novel concept within some of these agencies. I'll give you an example of really leveraging data to the best. So Navy has their world-class alignment metrics program, their WAM program. And our Eternity EUEM is a big part of the data sources for that. And we're actually bringing that over into their Jupyter system, the data over into their Jupyter system to then combine with other data sets to make those decisions. And when they first started the WAM process, they were on average seeing a 13-minute boot time, with outliers in the 30 to 45-minute range. Right?
That's the start your laptop up, go take a smoke or get a coffee.
Go get a coffee, have
we've seen
breakfast, whatever it is, right? Yeah. And so based off of that data, and not necessarily leveraging remediations or anything along those lines, just based off of the data, making changes to that environment, getting rid of spinning disks and going to solid state, changing group policy, changing the order in which things are done in the boot process, moving it later in the boot process for those things that aren't critical to be early on. Just some of a myriad of different data-driven decisions has actually reduced that to under 2 minutes on average now, right? Which is a huge impact to that employee base.
Yeah.
And it wasn't based off of any crazy automation or any crazy AI. It was simply making smart use of the data that's available to you.
I can imagine just imagine the productivity gains. When you think of how many employees, hundreds of thousands of employees saving about 10 minutes a day in productivity.
Yeah.
Big payback for the Navy. Hats off to Justin Finelli and the team that worked on that. Obviously did an amazing job, and I know they're doing a lot more pilots to rapidly change and transform. So those are great use cases that we've seen in the industry.
They're definitely leading the charge in the DoD for that, and they're saving money on coffee, so it's a win-win.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe on the coffee. I don't know. I'm an old Marine. We drink a lot of coffee in the Marine Corps.
They may use Navy nuclear reactors, but it's really run off of coffee, right?
Yeah, very much. Well, Bill, thank you very much for your time today. For audience members, thank you for joining us on the Swish CTO Corner. If you want to dig in more on this conversation or others, head to the Riverbed website or the swishdata.com website. And if you really like this observability topic, Swish runs an observability workshop, and we're happy to come out, do some whiteboarding, dig in on our technical team, and have some deep tech talks to help you out. And whether you're using Riverbed today or some other technologies, we're happy to engage and help out. So again, thank you very much for joining, and we hope to see you next time.